All right, the last kind of major concept we're going to talk about is how we can take vector paths that we've created, like, circle or square, some other basic shapes, and we could combine them together to make a more complex vector shape. Okay. This is something we call the Pathfinder tool. Okay. The way I like to kind of think about this is like, actually, before I explain it, my little analogy here, this is exercise 17. And I want you to notice that there is this red star and it's sitting on top of this green square. Okay. And if I highlight this star, if I were to take this point and move it, because I'm using the direct selection arrow, you can see that I end up with something like this. And that's because even though they're on top of each other, each vector is considered separate from one another. What I want to do is I want to combine these two paths together so they form sort of a more complex vector path. And the way that we're going to do that is by using something called the Pathfinder panel. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the selection tool, the black arrow, and I'm going to highlight the star, and then I'm going to hold down Shift key to highlight the other shape here. Okay. And if I go to Properties panel, there should be something called Pathfinder, and I'm going to see this option here called Unite. What Unite does is it takes however many vector shapes you have selected, and it will combine them together to form one complex shape. The way I like to think about it is like if you were, if you had dough, let's say you were making Christmas cookies, right? And you cut out like a Christmas tree, with a little Christmas tree thing, and you had like I don't know, like a reindeer, and you like took the two pieces of dough and you like mushed them together and make one piece of super dough. That's kind of like what this is. We're taking two vectors, mushing them together and making that into one major vector shape. So if I click on this, this now becomes one shape as opposed to being two individual shapes. Okay. Now, when you have two vector paths, each vector path defaultly has its own fill. This has a red fill, this has a green fill. The way that this works is that you can only have one fill when you combine them. The way it works is that whatever vector is on top, that's the one where the fill is kept. Okay. So if I hold down Shift and highlight, since the red star is on top, what's going to happen is these are going to combine and it's going to be red. If I had changed the order around to where maybe this is on top and I highlight these two and I go back and I combine it, since the green square was on top, then the green one is on, is the dominant one. Okay. Here I have, you can do this to numerous vector paths. So here I have multiple vector shapes here. I'm going to highlight all three by holding down Shift, go to the Properties panel and use Unite, and it combines all of them together. This is now considered one solid shape. Here I have a circle on top of a star. I'm going to take this, hold down Shift, use the Pathfinder tool, and it makes one shape. Okay, one complete shape. Let's combine this with maybe some of the new shapes we learned. So for instance, I could make a rectangle. I'm going to make another rectangle. I'm going to make a third rectangle and overlay them. Maybe I'm going to make an oval shape here, like this, and make another oval shape, like that. I'm going to highlight all four of these shapes, go to my Pathfinder, use Unite, and it makes one solid complex shape. Okay. Another Pathfinder tool we can use is what's called the minus front. The way that it works is I have two paths here. This is my first path, and this is my second path. I can take the vector path that's on top, and cut it or remove it from the vector path that's below it. This is why it's called minus front, because it takes the vector that's in front and it minuses it from the object below it. Okay. So this is going to be the object that gets minused. I'm going to hold down Shift to highlight this. If I go to my properties panel and I use minus front, it cuts away. So this is not white. This is actually a hole in my shape. And you can tell that because if I put it over it, you can see that I can see below it. If I go over here, I have this shape on top of this. I'm going to highlight this, hold down Shift. I can use the minus front option here. And once again, this cuts through my shape. You don't even have to cut through the entire shape. I put it kind of in the center just to kind of show you. But here it's like I have one circle kind of overlapping this other circle. I'm going to minus this from this by using minus front. And it gives me like a nice little crescent moon. Maybe I'll make a new star shape. Oops. I don't know why it's so small here. All right. It doesn't have to be a different color, but I think it helps to kind of make it a different color so it's easier to see. I'm going to put that here in front of this shape. Hold down Shift, minus front. And, I'm making a more complex shape here. Okay. All right, try that out. Try using some of the shapes that we used here and, combine them together using the unite option. Use the minus front to subtract objects from one another. Okay.